Welcome to the garage. I'm Robert, and this is Haslip Cycle Works. Today, we're going to continue on Project Mini Bike, specifically the trailer for Project Mini Bike. The lighting that we added on Project Mini Bike in a previous episode has worked amazingly well. It makes nighttime riding safer and more fun for both the rider and the people around the rider. So cars can see us, we can see where we're going. Works a treat. The problem is, most of the people in my neighborhood are all working and come home later. So when we have a little get together, it's usually when it's starting to get a little dark. If I'm the one in charge of delivering some tasty beverages of choice to said get together, I usually have to attach the trailer to Project Mini Bike. Well, the trailer with the cooler on it blocks visibility of our taillight. So we're going to fix that today. So what I've done to make the hookup a little bit easier is I bought one of these 6-foot trailer extension kits, I guess you'd call it, from Harbor Freight. And I will put a link in the description below. You have to excuse me, I got a little anxious and cut the end off already. Yeah, all I did was cut it, haven't done anything else. The reason I cut it was we want this to interface like this. We want the extension to be our actual quick disconnect between the mini bike and the trailer. So this end will go on the mini bike and be zip tied or secured in place. And then this end will sit on the neck of the mini bike trailer. Run down the gooseneck, across the frame, and into a taillight on the trailer. So what we're going to end up doing is splicing our taillight into these wires. Now our taillight requires a ground, like a running light on, and then a brake light on wire. So we're actually going to have an unused wire. But since Project Mini Bike, once it is complete, will be for sale, I'm not sure what the future owner may want to do with this bike. So I'll leave the extra wire in place, and maybe they can come up with a creative way to use that wire. Or if we decide to do another upgrade to it and we need an extra wire, it's already there. We're going to go ahead and leave the 4 here, even though we're only going to need the 3. So it's the exact same taillight that's on Project Mini Bike. So we're no stranger to that. Get that. I need to run the wire and secure it to the frame. Put some sort of cover over it, some sort of loom, and we'll attach it securely to the frame so it doesn't move around. We're going to have to extend some of these wires and attach them to the existing taillight that's on Project Mini Bike now, so we can get our 12-volt signals and our ground, and we're just going to run those right off of those lines, run it to that taillight. And then we need to make a bracket to hold our taillight, and I'll probably fashion up another plexiglass license plate for the trailer, like I did for Project Mini Bike, and probably go horizontal instead of vertical on this one. And all right, well, that's enough talking about it. Let's get to it. So before we can start wiring our trailer, we need to know how to run and where to run the wiring. Before we can do that, we need our license plate bracket and our taillight support. Before we can make our bracket and taillight support, we need a license plate or some sort of stand-in. What I used on the plate that you've seen in the video for the mini bike build is just a piece of 1/4 inch thick plexi. You can use Lexan or any other composite you would like. You can make it out of steel, aluminum, wood, whatever you want. It's just a fill-in. You can also buy personalized plates on eBay. Use a real license plate if you want. I wouldn't recommend doing that in case you run into Johnny Law. What I'm using is just a 1/4 inch thick piece of plexi, and you can pick this up from pretty much any hardware store or Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever you may have in your area. I just so happen to have a good chunk of it laying around left over from a window replacement project for around the house. So I'll be using this since I have it and it's free. So 1/4 inch thick, cut way oversized. What I'm going to do is use an actual license plate. This is an actual motorcycle plate as a template. That way, if, we did want to order a personalized plate later on, or something off eBay, one of the novelty plates, then we'll know it'll fit. So we'll take our plate and use that as a template. It still has the kind of opaque clear film on it. I'm going to cover the whole thing with more painter's tape. That way I'm less likely to scratch our surface. So I'll go ahead and put a layer on the top and the bottom, and then we'll trace our plate out on that. Oh, and a non-bike related tip for you guys: use any tape at all. And you've come behind someone that doesn't do this, it's a huge pain in the butt to try to get the edge peeled up, and then sometimes it'll just run and you only get a sliver of it. When you're done with your tape, roll it over a couple times, and that gives you an easy pull to start instead of having to pick at it with your fingernail. Alright, so we've got everything kind of covered to keep it from being scratched. And then using your marking tool of choice, we are going to mark the perimeter of our plate. Make sure you mark your hole locations. That's really more important than the external dimensions of the plate. And you notice, I'll show you guys a little bit better. If you notice, I stayed away from the edge of our sheet here. Reason for that is the first thing you want to do before you go cutting this out is you want to drill your holes first. The reason you want to drill your holes first is with any composite material, especially some sort of plastic, if you're drilling this out and it's close to the edge, and you don't have a whole lot of meat here, as you're drilling, the drill bit will get hot, the material will get hot, and what it'll do is it'll grab the bit and it can actually crack your material if there's not enough there to support it. So stay away from the edges when you're drilling, and go slow. Don't press very hard. Make sure you're using a sharp bit. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and take my cordless drill, find the appropriate drill size, and you can step these up. So start small with a pilot hole and then up 1 or 2 steps to what you need, or you can start a pilot hole and then use one of these stepping drill bits to drill these out, whatever you feel comfortable with. But I'm going to go ahead and drill these holes and then bring you guys back. So now I've got our holes drilled, and what I'm going to do is cut just on the outside of our line. I'm going to use our Porter band saw turned into a small vertical bandsaw. You can use a hacksaw, any fine-toothed saw will cut this. And take your time, no rush. Remember, this stuff will heat up and it will start to grab whatever tooling you're using on it. So just be careful. I'm going to go ahead and cut this on our bandsaw and show you the result. Alright, So we've got it all cut out, and I took some sandpaper to it, 120 grit, just to clean the edges up and get rid of some of the saw marks. Let's go ahead and peel our tape off. Let's see how we did here. That looks pretty good. See, there's some of it on the edge. Don't know if you can make that out or not. The camera's gonna have trouble focusing on that because it's clear, but that gray material you can kind of see. Here we go. Is where it actually starts to melt, and that just kind of breaks off with your finger. But that's what you have to be careful with on this plastic stuff, because that, as it starts to melt while you're working with it, it will start to stick, and that can cause it to, it's in a drill press, or if you're using a hand drill, it can cause it to fly around. Just be real careful with this stuff. Alright, well, there's our plate. So now what we need to do is come up with a way to mount this and our tail light together that we would then put on our mini bike trailer. For those of you that may not have watched the other mini bike episodes yet, this is the exact same tail light that is on the mini bike. So I figured, why not use it for the trailer? Straight from eBay. I'll put a link in the description. I want to say to the door it was less than 11 bucks, but prices may vary. Very simple. 3-wire hookup, one for ground, one for the brake light, and one for the running light. Very simple. So what we need to do is we want to mount our plate in this orientation and our light right above it. So now we're going to have to come up with a frame of some sort that we can use to mount this plate and light together and then mount it on the trailer. For that, I'm going to use 1/8 inch by 1 1/4, and this piece just so happens to be a 3-foot section. I'm not going to make it out of tube or angle or anything like that. No need to overcomplicate it, which is funny because we're putting a trailer with lights on a mini bike that has lights. So anyway, yeah, we are going to mount our plate in this orientation. So what we're going to need to do is we want enough to weld to the back of the frame on the trailer, and enough to go to the edge of our plate. So we'll probably have to cut along here, and then we'll have a piece that runs from the top edge of this flat stock up, and then another piece that comes across here and follows the contours here. Okay, so we've got our frame all welded together, painted, and welded to the frame for the cooler trailer. We have our plexiglass plate installed with our hardware. We have our tail light installed with its hardware that it came with. The only thing left is the most boring part, and the part that I dislike the most: wiring. Cool thing is, and I didn't plan it this way, it just so happened to work out this way, the tail light, its 3 wires are green, brown, and yellow. And if you look at what we're going to use as the main harness for the trailer, it has green, yellow, and brown, with the spare white wire, which we won't be using. Because this is the exact same tail light that's over there on Project Mini Bike, it also has green, yellow, and brown as its wiring. So all we're going to do is match the colors up with the tail light, our wiring harness, and then our wiring harness when we tee into, where are you? When we tee into the wiring on Project Mini Bike to put our little pigtail that will plug into, we'll make sure that those wiring colors match up. Should be pretty simple, but it is wiring, it is boring, so I'm not gonna bother you guys with that. So I'll go ahead and get that wrapped up for you guys and bring you back once it's done. Alright, let me get to it. Some splicing, some soldering, and some heat shrink, and some wire wrap. Hopefully this comes through on camera. We've got our wire secured and our connector in place, and we are connected to the wiring on Project Mini Bike on our trailer. I guess now the thing to do would be to test, make sure our lights work. So first off, let's just turn on the, alright, headlight definitely still working. Tail light on the mini bike working. And the trailer light is working. Alright. Now we just need to see if the actual brake light works. Alright, so if any luck, if we wire this correctly, when I pull the brake lever, both brake lights will light up. Definitely looks like it worked to me, but I wouldn't call it complete yet. I think we're missing something. Aha. Now it's complete. Now it looks good. And that's really all there is to it. Easily take the trailer off of the mini bike and disconnect our trailer wiring from the pigtail on Project Mini Bike if we ever want to ride the bike without the trailer attached. I'd fire it up and ride it around for you guys, but as you can hear by the nighttime critters, it's rather late here. So I'm going to end this video here. I would call this a complete success. Yeah, I'm going to put it back in the garage and get ready for bed. So until next time, guys, get up, get out there, and do it.